According to the latest job report released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, every racial group in America saw a dip in unemployment claims except for Black people. The unemployment rate for Black America actually rose to 7.1% in December, up from 6.5% in November. Black women especially have experienced the highest downturn in employment of any group. According to the data, the unemployment among Black women climbed from 4.9% in November to 6.2% in December. Simultaneously, the unemployment rate for white women has fallen to its lowest mark since the pandemic at 3.1%. Much has been made about America's labor shortage, but do these numbers reflect an opportunity shortage or a disparity in the wages being offered to Black workers? Joining us to discuss is the Dean of the College of Ethnic Studies at California State University at Los Angeles, Dr. Julianne Malveaux. So, Julianne, I'm trying to understand these numbers, and I'm hoping that you can make them make sense for us. Why would Black unemployment rates go up when they went down for every other racial group in America?
Well, there's this little word that begins with R called racism. I think you put it more kindly when you called it an opportunity gap. I mean, the fact is that we're still last hired, first fired. We still, especially in the industries that we seem to see more growth, like the service industries, hospitality, that's where unconscious bias really comes out. But the other thing, Charles, that's happening is that Black people are also leaving the labor force. Black women, especially, are leaving the labor force. Why? COVID gave people the opportunity to reevaluate their lives. Now, some of the people leaving are starting businesses, doing all kind of creative things, but others are simply leaving because they don't like the way they're treated in the workplace, and they have the opportunity to look for some different things. Some people are calling it the Great Resignation, the number
Right.
of people who left their jobs. But be clear, it's happening to Black women much more acutely than to others.
Yeah, but see, that was the confusing thing to me because I was trying to also understand how the Great Resignation was overlapping with this rise in unemployment rate. But when you leave the market, you're no longer looking for a job. You don't show up in this unemployment
Exactly.
rate. So these are people who are actively looking, right? So the two things didn't seem to really dovetail to me. If you were, there are people are leaving, obviously, as you say, and it is starting a little mini boom of Black-owned businesses because people are basically starting little businesses out of their homes, or maybe it's just them, maybe it's their family, maybe it's one employee or two. But there's also, seems to be, what these numbers say, is there also Black people coming back into the labor market looking for jobs
Yes.
and not finding them.
No, that's exactly right. That's what's happening. You have a lot of people. First of all, we've known all the economic news. The child tax credit may be going away. This and that may be going away. So there's pressure for people to find work. So they're looking for work because there's pressure for them to find it. They have economic challenges, but the work is not there. You hear about labor shortages, as you say, but these labor shortages are not universal. These labor shortages are shortages basically for those who are favored, many who are highly educated, and we know there's an education gap, but many who have other, basically other advantages. They have family, they have people who will hire them. Or, I just had a student tell me she just walked into a place, they had a help wanted sign, and she got a job. Now, this student happened not to be a student of color. It was interesting. Meanwhile, I've told young people, if you see one ad, these little coffee shops have wanted signs, go in. But I don't know to tell them that when it's not clear that racism is gone. I mean, racism is alive and well in the workplace, and that's what you see. And Charles, let me just say one more quick thing. If you look at the
Hmm.
labor force data that came out today, the adjusted unemployment rate is 3.9 overall, but adjusted is 7.5 for everyone. What that translates into, the Black unemployment rate of 7.4, 7.1 rather, translates into 13.7. One in six Black people looking for work cannot find it. That is still a recession number, even though we're talking about economic, everything is wonderful. It's not wonderful for Black people.
So, how do you think this is overlapping with the pandemic? I don't know if it's specific to Black people, maybe it's all workers, but as the pandemic drags on, as it looks more and more like it may be a kind of an endemic thing, that it is with us forever, Are people beginning to change their minds about whether or not they, want to take a break from the workforce, or the jobs that they had were not fulfilling and they just want to take a break and reassess? Because what if this is it? This is the new economy. This is the new reality. Are
Yes.
they now forced into a different consideration of what careers and work are?
Very much so. I mean, you see this especially with women when you're looking at childcare needs, with the instability in the education sector. At our own campus, first we were going to face, and now we'll be remote from the opening of classes until February 11th. Well, that for some of our faculty and staff changes the way they're looking at their work, changes what their requirements are for childcare and for things like that. So people are reassessing. Some are starting businesses, some are doing other things. I think that COVID is here to stay, but I think in this interim period with Omicron, a new variant, and there'll be new variants every few months, if not every year, with a new variant. Some people are just looking and saying it's not worth it. The people we need are the people we need to compensate, and those are Black women. We're talking our nurses. We've several pieces running the news today about shortages of nurses, teachers. People are leaving education because education, especially K through 12, has become somewhat stressful, especially with parents in basically weighing into curriculum. They can't teach critical race theory when no one teaches it, the K through 12. What they mean is they don't want their young people to know about enslavement and race. But it is stressful. The workplace has become more stressful for those who have to commute. Imagine being a nurse and having to commute on public trans, as opposed to me being a dean and I can sit in my apartment and do my work, on my computer, show up, every other day if I need to while we're doing this COVID thing. So people who have to work every day are under stress, under pressure, and some of them are just saying, look, forget about it. Many people who, Charles, are of retirement age, teachers, nurses, met a woman last night. She said she's 70. She had planned to work another 5 years, but she said, no way. And she has of retirement age, she has Social Security, she has a pension. Why work? And there are many people in that situation as well. The workplace has just become for so many people unfriendly, and that unfriendliness turns into stress.
I only have about 30 seconds here, but I just want to know, how does the gig economy play into these unemployment numbers? If I start driving an Uber just a couple of days a week to make do, am I part of the employed part of the population, or is that just considered extra money on the side?
It's pretty much considered extra money on the side. If you start driving Uber, I want to be your passenger. But basically, it's extra money on the side. I'm not sure how it's counted, because it would have to be self-reported. But in the short run, it wouldn't be counted. So in the medium run,
Right.
it would be. It would show up with IRS data and other data. But in the short run, unless you self-report, it wouldn't be reported.
Dr. Julianne Malveaux, as always, thank you for your time.